Hi, my name is Al Hoberman. I'm a music therapist from New York City, online at www.musictherapistnyc.com. Now, in a previous video, I showed you a technique that I've been calling vocal resourcing, which involved recording a client's voice from Zoom into my recording software and then multi-tracking, recording multiple layers of it. Now, since there's been a lot of discussion online recently about how to use music, how to engage clients in music over Zoom calls and over video, I wanted to share with you how I've done it, take you a little behind the scenes to some of the audio setup that I have going on here. Okay, so first we're going to look at hardware, and I'll go through some of this quickly. But of course, you'll need a laptop or a desktop computer. I definitely would recommend that over mobile. It will enable you to do some of the other things that we'll talk about later, but it also just gives you a bigger screen, higher quality, more reliability, things like that. Same with a wired internet connection. In the age of Wi-Fi, we often don't think about that, but really getting an Ethernet cable from your modem into your computer, if your computer has a port to do that, or just using a USB adapter like I do, really helps improve the reliability, the quality of your connection, and prevents dropouts. I think improves overall the experience of teletherapy, whether you're doing music or not. As far as getting sound into the computer, I use an audio interface and a microphone that I plug into it that enables me to plug in multiple microphones, other instruments like a guitar, different things like that. But you may just want to use a regular USB mic like a Blue Yeti or something like that, and that'll definitely work fine too. Headphones, more important than you might think, so especially when you're recording. Not only does it just give you a better quality sound than the computer speakers or whatever you have, but if you're doing any kind of recording, then it will allow you to listen back to whatever the playback is, the backing track, and also sing or record either you or the client, and then that backing track won't get picked up by the mic again. So definitely a good set of headphones. There's lots out there. I would go for that. Maybe a little more optional, but I use a small MIDI keyboard. It also plugs in via USB, and what this does is allow me to control different sounds and software instruments inside my recording software. You'll see how that works later. Certainly not what everyone does as far as how they use music in their sessions, but for me, that is a big component of what I do. Okay, for software. Now, for the video call, I'm using Zoom, and particularly because it has this enable original sound option. Now, if you have a paid subscription, unfortunately it's only available then, you can set this up. And what it does is Zoom has an automatic feature where if two people speak at once over a call, that it will automatically lower the volume of one of them to prevent crosstalk, which is great for meetings, for conferences, anytime where you just want to have one speaker at once, but is obviously a problem for making music. So again, if you do have a paid account, you can go into settings and enable this original sound, which turns off that feature and allows two people to sing or to make any kind of music at once. Now, I'm not going to walk you through exactly how to set this up right now, but if you Google it, you will certainly find tutorials out there, and you can get that going. Of course, recording software, or at least that's a focus of what I'll show you today. It's also called a digital audio workstation, or DAW, and GarageBand is a common one that many people use. I'm going to show you also how to set up Ableton Live for some of this work. There's also Audacity, which is available free for non-Mac users. Lots of different ones. It really comes down to preference. And then Loopback 2, which is what I use to get the sound from Zoom into my DAW and then back again. Now what this does, it basically works like a mixing board and allows me to send sound from any different program on my computer, one into the other. And I'll walk you through how that works next. There are different free alternatives to Loopback. I've tried them, or at least some of them. I found them a little harder to use, caused some bugs. Other people have had better experiences, so certainly you can look that up. But for me, spending a little money on Loopback 2 was definitely the way to go. So here we are in Loopback, and as you can see, there's a number of sources. So these are like the things that you would plug into a mixing board, like a microphone or an instrument. And you can see that I have a number of things. I have Ableton Live. I have GarageBand also as an option. I have my microphone, and you can see the meter moving up and down with my voice there. I have Spotify for listening to music with my client, recorded music. And then I have also Zoom as an input, so acting as a microphone. Now it's important that anything that I want my client to hear goes into channel 1 and 2, because Zoom can only hear the first 2 channels of audio. So all of these inputs are also getting lines into channel 1 and 2, which is then going out to Zoom for my client to hear. But I also have, way down here, Zoom as an input. So the voice, the sound of my client's voice is going from Zoom into channels 3 and 4. And those are just open channels. They're not connected to anything else here. They're just available as channels for me to use. I also have my microphone and an extra channel in case I wanted another mic or to plug my guitar in or something. I have those going into other channels. Right now I just have channel 5 set up with my voice as well, if I needed it. Now I'll show you how I use these channels 3, 4, and 5 in Ableton. Okay, so now here's Ableton, and the first thing that we're going to do here is make sure that our audio preferences are set up right. So I'm going to go to Live and then Preferences, and here under the Audio tab, I'm just going to double check that my audio input device is set to Loopback Audio. Now my audio output device is set to whatever I'm using to listen. So if that's your built-in output plugged into headphones or something else, for me it's my interface. But the important thing is that Loopback is your input. So once that's set, you can come back here and you'll see my first track is, it's an instrument track, so it uses all these different software instruments. Right now I have it just set up to a grand piano, and so when I play my MIDI keyboard here, you can hear that sound come through. I can change that sound, of course, to just about anything. You know, I just drag in from that menu. All sorts of different stuff. My next track I labeled Zoom, and that's because it's set here. The inputs are inputs 3 and 4, which is those loopback tracks that are hearing the sound from Zoom. So when I'm on a call with a client, their voice will be coming through to this channel and can be recorded. Of course, I can just duplicate that track as many times as I want. Duplicate or Command D. And then the last one I have just available, my microphone, which is set on input 5 from Loopback. And as you can see, my voice is coming through the monitor there. So that's my basic template here in Ableton. I've got an instrument track, and of course I can add as many of those as I want. I have my client's audio from Zoom on channels 3 and 4, and I have my microphone in on channel 5 there. Okay, so last I'm just going to take you through the same setup in GarageBand, since that's a program that a lot of music therapists use. Here I am just on the new file screen that you get when you open it up. You see I can select here empty project, but before I do that, once again I'm going to just double check that my input device is Loopback Audio, my output device is set to my headphones, and then I click empty project or choose over here. That brings me to this window where I can choose software instruments. We can start there. Double clicking, and there gives me a electric piano, or I can choose something else. I can add a new track with this little plus sign. This time I'll select audio, this little microphone button, and here are those same set of inputs. So I'll choose a stereo input 3 and 4 track for my client's voice. I can even name that again, Zoom, and then add another track, and this time I'll add my own voice on input 5, hit create, and I'll call that, microphone. And there you have it. You see my voice coming through on the meter. And there's that same basic setup for using software instruments, recording the client's voice, and hearing my own voice in GarageBand. Okay, so that's it for now. As you can see, there's a few different components involved, but so far this has worked really well for me for recording and multi-tracking clients' voices. Doesn't solve the latency issue, the issue of there being lag between the sounds that I make and the sounds that they make over the internet. Unfortunately, that's just a technological hurdle that we haven't overcome yet. But in the absence of that, I found that a client being able to record their own voice and then record something else to go on top of it, or multiple different sounds, can work really nicely to help facilitate them having an interactive and reflective experience. Okay, thanks for watching this little demonstration. There's any number of ways that this could be implemented in a music therapy session. So if watching this you have some ideas about how you might use it, or if you're already doing something similar, don't hesitate to reach out. Of course, also any thoughts or questions or comments that you have, do send them my way. You can always reach me at www.musictherapistnyc.com. Again, my name is Al Hoberman. I'm a music therapist in New York City. Thanks for watching.